A mysterious figure draped in tattered robes walked through a ruined city, gripping a staff while the remnants of society watched from a distance. Suchin gazed up at an officer displayed on a large screen, his expression filled with awe and perhaps resentment. The officer radiated authority, as if he were responsible for the current state of the world or its creation. Deep in thought, he stood next to the officer, both seemingly weighed down by the gravity of their decisions. The officer behind him seemed to carry an air of command, while Suchin spoke with quiet resolve, determined to ensure events unfolded as he anticipated. Two companions discussed the difficulties of establishing a new base, with one expressing frustration over the daunting task ahead. Despite the challenges, they acknowledged that creating their own stronghold was the best way to gain control over their situation. The city official mocked the group's ambition to build a new base, laughing at their naive optimism. He pointed out the dangers lurking beyond the city's borders, suggesting they wouldn't even be able to secure basic necessities for survival, let alone protect themselves. A young man in a wheelchair smugly spoke to his father, suggesting that the others would eventually regret leaving and come crawling back for help. The father, grinning, wholeheartedly agreed with his son's assessment. Confident in their eventual failure, two men expressed their fear of venturing outside, unwilling to risk their lives in the dangerous world beyond. One of them, with a resigned expression, declared he'd rather live as a coward and survive than face certain death, making a mocking grin with outstretched arms. The man taunted the group, laughing at their ambitious dreams. He made it clear that once they left, their fate was none of his concern, letting them know he wouldn't lift a finger to help if they failed. Seated confidently, Suchin dismissed the group's concerns about securing food. His casual attitude surprised the others, who couldn't believe how easily he spoke about something they considered a difficult task. A fierce and muscular man, visibly straining, refuted the earlier doubts with fiery resolve. He insisted that if Suchin could successfully lead their group, he should be able to handle something as simple as securing food, his glowing eyes reflecting his belief in the leader's extraordinary strength. Then, a man yelled at Suchin, accusing him of being delusional for thinking he could save the world with such limited resources. Calm and composed, Suchin casually mentioned that he only had enough supplies to support 2,000 people for about a month, further aggravating the situation. The man looked shocked, comparing Suchin's claim about the supplies to his own stockpile and realizing there wasn't much difference. Suspicion crept in as he wondered where the leader could have possibly obtained his resources. A man glanced up, puzzled, pausing what he was doing, a cigarette hanging loosely from his mouth. Suddenly, Yun descended from above, catching him by surprise. He looked up in shock as she questioned why Suchin had suddenly changed his behavior, leaving him startled and unprepared for her abrupt approach. Now on the ground, he clenched his fists in frustration as she explained that the base's storage had been completely emptied. The revelation shocked him, and he exclaimed in disbelief. Yun hugged Duin, who was atop her, reprimanding the other for recklessly using her powers, while Duin admitted she had reached her limit. Suchin spoke into a communication device, informing someone that they were fully prepared. With a serious expression, he urged General Gao that it was time to make the final decision, signaling imminent action. The man stood with clenched fists, shouting in frustration as he reflected on how much he had already sacrificed for the sake of survival. Anger boiled over as he realized that despite his efforts, they had been reduced to nothing more than livestock. He declared he could no longer stand this place for even a second. With a determined expression, he proclaimed his decision to join forces and help establish a new base. His resolute gaze reflected the seriousness of his commitment to this new beginning. The city official raised his fist, calling out to his brothers who were willing to leave with him, urging them to step forward. He passionately declared their mission to build a new base where everyone could live with dignity instead of merely surviving like dogs in their current conditions. Two figures shouted with determination, rallying their respective teams, one calling for the Blue Tiger Squad and the other for the White Tiger Squad. In unison, they commanded their forces to assemble, ready for the next decisive moment. The city official shouted in disbelief as chaos unfolded around him, demanding to know what was going on. Armed soldiers rushed into action, further escalating the tension as confusion spread throughout the area. The man, filled with fury, screamed at the top of his lungs, declaring himself the rightful ruler of the city. His clenched fist and desperate tone demanded loyalty from those around him, asserting that they must serve him. A soldier reported to the general, announcing that all the troops had gathered. Rows of soldiers stood in formation, ready for their next orders. The man screamed furiously, questioning who the other person thought they were, his face contorted with rage. He declared that without his permission, no one would be able to leave, making his authority clear in a desperate attempt to regain control. A row of soldiers raised their rifles in unison, ready to fire as tension escalated. The barrels of their guns gleamed under the harsh light. A soldier with a rifle stepped forward, his weapon aimed as tension filled the air. Behind him, the officer with sunglasses watched the scene unfold, his expression cold and calculating, furious and full of rage. The man in the wheelchair fired his gun, screaming that Suchin was responsible for his injury and vowing to kill him. His desperate anger exploded as bullets flew, blaming Suchin for all his misfortunes. Suchin, with a calm yet intense expression, narrowly dodged a bullet aimed at him. His eyes flared with anger as he uttered a cold threat, signaling his readiness to retaliate. He swiftly dodged the incoming bullets, leaping through the air with precision as the man in the wheelchair frantically fired his gun. The rapid exchange of gunfire filled the scene with tension as Suchin skillfully maneuvered to avoid each shot. Suchin's eyes glowed with a menacing red as he stood firmly, delivering a devastating blow to the man in the wheelchair. The force of the impact sent the man flying through the air, powerless against Suchin's overwhelming strength. Suchin held the man by his throat, lifting him effortlessly as he issued a deadly ultimatum. The man screamed in agony while Suchin coldly threatened to break his son's neck unless the city lord's forces laid down their weapons. The man's face twisted in fury and desperation, veins bulging as he gritted his teeth. His eyes burned with anger, knowing that Suchin had him cornered yet unwilling to submit easily. Finally relenting, the man commanded his soldiers to lower their weapons. Reluctantly, the soldiers complied, realizing they had no choice but to follow the order. Suchin spoke with quiet authority, instructing General Gao to lead the refugees away while he took charge of the situation. General Gao, with a solemn nod, agreed and promised to wait for Suchin at Cloud Peak University. The city official's expression was tense and deep in thought. Behind him, another soldier watched closely, acknowledging his command with a nod. The man offered a deal to Suchin, proposing that if Suchin released his son, he would allow him to leave peacefully. A sniper hidden on a rooftop aimed his rifle with precision, carefully watching the situation unfold below. His eyes narrowed and focused, ready to take the shot if needed. Suchin, speaking through his earpiece, calmly relayed critical information to Dunya. He directed her attention to the rooftop at the 12 o'clock position, signaling a potential threat. Dunya acknowledges the command and quickly takes position, readying her rifle while focusing on the rooftop target. Behind her, Yun stays still as instructed, aware of the danger ahead. A bright muzzle flash erupts as the rifle fires, sending a bullet speeding toward its target with lethal precision. The sniper is instantly taken out by the precise shot, his head exploding in a burst of blood and energy. The force of the impact leaves no chance for survival, ending the threat in an instant. The man, shocked and terrified, yells in disbelief as he realizes Suchin had a sniper in position. Suchin remains calm and unbothered, still holding the man's son by the throat as the situation unfolds in his favor. Suchin finally agrees to the deal, telling Zhang that he will return his son as per the earlier proposal. His hand loosens its grip, preparing to release the terrified young man. As Suchin throws the man's son through the air, Zhang looks up in shock, still processing the sudden release. Suchin, however, ominously remarks that he still has one more question left to address. Suchin's eyes glow with a terrifying purple light as he coldly asks if human flesh tastes good, his fingers poised ominously. The question drips with menace, leaving no doubt about the deadly consequences of his next move. Zhang looks down in shock and confusion as his body begins to freeze from Suchin's attack. His face twists in agony, unable to comprehend what's happening as the cold rapidly spreads through him. Zhang watches in horror as his son uncontrollably chews on a bomb, his face drenched in sweat. Zhang's wide terrified eye captures the horror he feels as he watches his son. A massive explosion erupts, engulfing everything in flames and sending shockwaves through the area, two hands gripping each other tightly, one appearing weakened, the other firm and unyielding. A towering man now consumed by rage roars with glowing red eyes as he vows to kill Suchin. His body, ripped and torn from the fight, exudes raw fury as he prepares to charge forward. Suchin stands confidently with his two companions, surveying the aftermath of the battle. One of them informs him of their arrival, while Suchin reflects on Zhang Jianshu, realizing he's not just a hidden enemy among humans, but a higher-level threat than expected. Suchin's eyes glow menacingly red as dark energy swirls around him, a cold warning emanating from his expression. He ominously promises that next time, his enemy won't be so fortunate, leaving no doubt about the danger he poses.